So tonight I'm going to read from Gutter Boys. Now, I have a theory about Gutter Boys. Gutter Boys did not sell well, as do many gay novels not sell well. And I think it's because people are scared that they're going to have to encounter hot man-on-man action. And this is not an unreasonable fear, because my publisher wrote on the back of my book, Gutter Boys is a twisted tale of steamy gay sex and unrequited love in Lower Manhattan in the early 1980s. There is no steamy gay sex in this book, and I'm going to prove it to you tonight by reading a sex scene from my novel. So if anybody is scared, I'm just going to prove to you that you have no need to be. I'm just going to dive right into the middle here. All you really need to know about the book itself, the story, is that the narrator is a 19-year-old boy named Jeremy. He is a total nebbish, basically a virgin, although he's maybe fooled around, maybe got like maybe third base, you know. And he's fallen in love with an older, rather manipulative hustler named Colin. Now, Colin is very handsome, very intimidating, very charismatic, and he likes to keep Jeremy around. Basically, not because he likes Jeremy, because Jeremy will do his laundry for him and lends money that he doesn't have to pay back, and he gets to lecture Jeremy and feel like a big guy. So anyway, so Colin moves to New York City, Jeremy follows Colin, and Colin is in the process of leading Jeremy into the wildlife of New York City in 1981, which, as you will recall, was very wild and depraved, and there was all sorts of things going on. How many people out there know what a back room is? One person. Okay, there used to be bars in New York City, this is true, where there were rooms in the back where men would go and have sex with each other. Okay, I'm just going to dive right in here. Colin opens the door. A long, narrow flight of steep stairs leads to another door, guarded by a burly, middle-aged man sitting at a little booth, the side of which has a sheet of paper with a list of no's. No cologne, no dress shirts, no dress slacks, no white sneakers. The man looks us up and down and nods. Colin and I hand him our money, and the door swings open. Except for the music, some sort of stripped-down, throbbing, wordless essence of disco, the place could be a disreputable 19th century seaside tavern. It's barely lit, the ceiling is perilously low, and the benches and tables are made of dark wood. At least half of the all-male crowd sport mutton chop sideburns or walrus mustaches. Ahoy mateys. I follow Colin to the bar where he orders us beers from a bartender wearing an outfit not unlike that of a Civil War infantryman. It suddenly hits me that I'm the youngest person present by 5 or 10 years, except no, there are a few other boys around, but they've camouflaged themselves as men. This strikes me as bad taste, unforgivably un-new wave. I consider asking Colin why we're here, but he's standing up and gesturing for me to follow him through a dark doorway. I set my mug on a cigarette machine and follow him into the Stygian gloom. Once my eyes have adjusted, I see a bunch of nude guys, semi-nude guys and nude guys, all tangled up as if they were playing a game of strip twister. Never having seen such a thing outside of a magazine, I step over to take a closer look. A hand reaches out and tentatively pets me, as if I were a strange and possibly vicious dog. I step away to follow Colin, who's moved to another darkened sex room. The usual, remarks Colin airily as we pass a hooded man chained to a wall. I half expect a torch-carrying hunchbacked dwarf, or perhaps a vampira, to appear and flog him with a cat o' nine tails. So closely does the scene resemble that of a low-budget horror film. Piss on the faggot, yeah, that's right, piss on the faggot, rasps a hairy guy lying in a bathtub as several men oblige him. What a ham, whispers Colin, probably an aging chorus boy. As we pass rooms full of slings and sodomy, bondage and blowjobs, my mind whirls. I'm not the least interested in the cheap theatrics, but there are cute guys here, and for the first time in my life, they're giving me the once-over, lusting after me. One guy even grabs my ass. Nobody, of course, dares touch Colin. I assume because he's too perfect and desirable. It would be like hauling Kim Novak at a studio-sponsored charity ball. We make it back to the front room, which no longer seems so dark. I reclaim my beer mug and become conscious of the hundreds of eyes roaming over my body like ants over food at a picnic. Even sort of tickles. Have you been here before? I ask Colin incredulously. Do you like this place? Why are we here? By way of response, Colin pulls off his shirt and sets off for the back rooms. "Have fun," he says over his shoulder. "Colin, wait." He does not wait. "Colin," I call out a bit louder. "Colin!" What am I supposed to do now? A he-man sits down next to me and casually rests his hand on my crotch without so much as a "how do you do." He isn't even looking at me. "Pardon me," I say. "I have to find my friend." I gingerly remove his hairy paw and head after Colin. Meat to the lions. I'm instantly immobilized flat against a wall, being disrobed and ravished by half a dozen men. Colin is nowhere in sight. I reflect that my plan calls for me to feign indifference to Colin while pursuing him. How better to do that than by joining him in his debauchery? I gently push away anyone elderly or with too much facial hair and let the rest do as they please with me. A few guys try to pry me away to the wall to get at my rear, but with great resolve I stay put. They give up and content themselves with frontal ravishment, pulling down my pants, then my underpants, then the edges of my flesh dissolve, and I'm part of a mass of sensation, floating like some alien entity composed of pure energy that you'd see on Star Trek. A shimmering, formless presence depicted by special effects, blurry, distorted lens, pink chartreuse and lavender lighting, eerie, angelic harmonies. When finally, after untold hours, I'm satisfied, my essence coalesces into a single human form, and my mind verbalizes again. Gosh, I think, public sex isn't creepy or weird like I thought it would be. It's fun. Okay. Does that sound steamy to you? I think that's pretty, not so steamy. Anyways, I'm going to skip ahead to another little part. One of the things Colin likes to do is lecture Jeremy. And Colin has theories about everything. So now they're about to go to a nightclub, the Mud Club, a famous 1980s club in the early 1980s in New York. We're standing in front of the Mud Club, where an intimidatingly trendy doorman behind a velvet rope is choosing who gets admitted and who is banished into the night. As we make our way through the thin crowd of people trying not to look desperate, I wonder if we're going to make the grade. Colin, reading my face, reassures me. The whole door thing is just to keep dorky straight guys from flooding the clubs. The door people never stop girls or gay guys. See, the clubs are an inversion of the power structure, an extension of 60s radicalism. Nana Leah, and Jeremy is haunted by the spirits of his two grandmothers. I forgot to mention that. One of them is Nana Leah, who is a octogenarian Jewish communist, who every now and then she just pops up. Nana Leah manifests, shaking her finger angrily at Colin. Clubs are not protests. How are you going to change the world by dancing and watching shows? I relay her concerns to Colin, who of course cannot see her. Colin stands aside from the people who want into the nightclub and faces me to deliver his lecture. It's hard to change people's minds with picket signs and boycotts. When people are nightclubbing, their defenses aren't up, so they're more receptive to new ideas, willing to cross boundaries. For instance, blacks and whites didn't hang out together until jazz and the Harlem Renaissance came along. Then, once the hipsters and trendy people started interracial partying, segregation became passé, déclassé even. After that, it was just a matter of time until it was repealed. And now with New Wave and the downtown scene, gays and trendy straight people are partying together. In 20 years, homophobia will be so unhip that even suburbanites will support gay rights just so they don't look like bumpkins. I don't know what he's talking about, and I bet he doesn't either, whispers Nana Leah. And you've heard of cafe society? Asks Colin, still waxing pedantic. I shake my head no. It used to be that rich people would only socialize with each other, so people running things lived in their own private world, walled off from outside influences and new ideas. Then, starting in the 1920s, cafe society came along, and everyone started mixing. The nouveau riche, whores, bootleggers, aristocrats, intellectuals, politicians, journalists, artists, entertainers, writers, everyone. Well, the new club scene is like cafe society, only it's even more democratic because it includes drag queens and punks and radicals and teenagers, and everyone gets their 15 minutes of fame. It's not enough to redistribute the wealth, you have to redistribute fame too. Let everyone be a celebrity. That's cultural democracy. Sounds reasonable, I admit. Then I think of a hole in Colin's argument. But you see all sorts of unhip people out at clubs all the time. Well, says Colin, you do have to let some people in just to keep the clubs profitable. Just not so many that becomes uncomfortable for fabulous people. It's actually great that they're there because it gives them a chance to mix with the sort of people they'd never see on TV. Plus, in clubland, you can't be an anonymous and passive like a TV viewer. You're forced to interact with strangers and have a personality. Leaving the suburbs and TV behind to become a club hopper is the first giant existential step towards personhood. I hear Nana Leah's voice. Ah, you don't start a revolution by drinking cocktails in nightclubs. It's just a pastime for the idle rich. Then, as if to prove her wrong, I'm treated to a display of magically fabulous reverse discrimination when a gaggle of suits from a limousine is turned away from the door while Colin and I are waved in. All right, that's it. Thank you so much.